So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Boris Johnson has resigned over Partygate. The Partygate report. So it looks like, well, publicly we don't know what the suspension is, but the speculation is that he's been given over a 10-day suspension, and so what that means is they can trigger a by-election in his constituency, and maybe he thought he would have lost. You know, some of the polling data says he would have lost, despite whatever Lord Ashcroft come out with. So it looks like he was not confident in winning a by-election where he lives now. I reckon, as kind of like Phil and other people pointed out, he's going to run in Henley, which is where his new house is, a couple of £1 million house. But, you know, Johnson is to step down with immediate effect, and we'll talk about why he's done this, because it's not just him either, it's someone else has resigned as well. He goes, in a statement, he said, quote, "They have still not produced a shred of evidence that I knowingly or recklessly misled the Commons," end quote. And we obviously know he did. It was very obvious that he did. He knew what was going on. I mean, like, it's not hard to figure out here. He goes, in the statement issued after he stepped down on Friday evening, the former Prime Minister said, quote, "I did not lie, and I believe that in their hearts the committee know it," end quote. They know perfectly well when I spoke, sorry, carrying on the quote, "They know perfectly well when I spoke in the Commons, I was saying what I believed sincerely to be true and what I had been briefed to say like any other minister," end quote. What I've been briefed to say. So, you know, given that you're a consistent liar, Boris Johnson, no one believes anything you say, but what you had been briefed to say. So that was the party line, basically. You know, you're going to say these things and blah blah blah. So this is breaking people. So this is not going to be my most coherent video, but I'm just astounded. We had this: Nadine Dorries, former minister, stands down. So Nadine Dorries was meant to be given a peerage at the end of this year in the honours list, but Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister took her off the honours list. He also took Boris Johnson's father, Stanley Johnson, off getting a knighthood. So this is just crazy. There'll be a by-election in her mid-Bedfordshire constituency, which she had a huge majority, 24,000, and it'll be a big test to see if Labour can take it. Because if Labour can take it, then all the Tories are on edge. And it would be great. It would be great to see them really scramble to figure out what the hell they're going to do. Earlier on Friday, she told Talk TV, quote, "The last thing I would want to do is cause a by-election in my constituency. I don't believe I will be going to the House of Lords anytime soon," end quote. So she's saying, I didn't want to trigger a by-election in my constituency, but she has done it. And she didn't have to do this, but she chose to. She could have spoken to Rishi Sunak and said, "Can you put me on the peerage list for next year?" And there is a strong chance she probably would have been given a peerage, because I don't think the incoming Prime Minister really gets rid of the old list. At least that's my speculation on it, but this is madness. Absolute madness. She wanted to be in the House of Lords, obviously, and that's why I think she was so sycophantic towards Boris Johnson, and she's not going to be on it. So you'll love to see it. You know, Rishi Sunak did find somewhat of a spine, and he stood up to Boris Johnson. I think Boris Johnson is doing this out of spite. I think Boris Johnson is absolutely doing this out of spite, because, you know, Boris Johnson is reported to have said, quote, "When I left office last year, the government only had a handful of points, but were only a handful of points behind Labour in the polls. The gap has massively widened. The 80-seat majority is now clearly at risk," end quote. So you can tell here Boris Johnson absolutely looking not to just stab Rishi Sunak, but put some gunshots in him. And Jesus Christ, man, this is wild. You have the former Prime Minister resigning after being found potentially being found guilty. We still don't know yet what the outcome is, but we can guess really strongly what it is. Normally I don't like doing speculation videos, but yeah, you don't have to speculate on this one. My man, they must have found my man guilty, giving him plus 10 days, and he's out. He's not going to fight a by-election. He might try and come back, or he might just rake it in on the speech circuit, to be honest, because now no one's going to stop him. He doesn't have to turn up in the Commons at any point, not like he did anyways, but it's Jenga. It's really Jenga, and I think we're seeing the end of this party. There's so much open infighting, which we've discussed and we will continue to discuss. I think, you know, we had Andrea Jenkins talking about Rishi Sunak and the open infighting that we've seen in the party, and we'll continue to see it, and we'll continue to cover it as best as I can, honestly, because this is absolute madness that this is happening. I think Rishi Sunak, you know, Johnson rewards allies and resignation honours list. I think Rishi Sunak will get rid of a lot of those. I think these two are publicly feuding, and it's very obvious to see. And I think when Rishi Sunak loses that election, Boris Johnson will take a victory lap and say, "See, I would have won us this. I'm a winner. That guy's a loser, a serial loser. Couldn't even beat Liz Truss in a leadership election contest. She lost to a lettuce." Honestly, this is just wow. You know, this really brightened up my weekend. But we'll continue to cover any of the fallout from this. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can. And yeah, hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. We won't be catching MP Boris Johnson anymore though.